On this graphic, we have each Canadian team in the NHL, alongside the number of point per game scores on their roster from 2014 up until 2024. By no surprise, Edmonton is in first with 20, Toronto's in second with 19, Jets 11, Canucks 9, Flames 7. So, where do you think Montreal would be? Because here's the thing, every single team in the NHL, whether you're a dynasty or a middle-of-the-pack team who can't get over the hump, at some point, will have to enter an R word, the rebuild. It is inevitable. But the upside of a rebuild, aka a team being in the dumpster for several years, is that your team now has a great chance of drafting that bona fide superstar, a 50-goal, 100-point player. There's only been one player drafted in decades who surpassed 50 goals who wasn't at the top end of the draft. That player being Brayden Point. So the point is, a team at some point needs to draft high in order to secure those franchise building block players. Toronto's rebuild led to the drafting of Nylander, Marner, Austin Matthews, all of which have developed into those point per game superstars. Edmonton's rebuild, or rebuilds, don't ask an Oilers fan what happened between 2007 and 2015. All you'll hear is the sound of an empty bottle and snot running down their noses, but it would lead to the drafting of Nugent Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid. So what I'm trying to say here is that teams will go through ups and downs, but the downs will lead to teams drafting those franchise point per game, if not 100-point scorers. It's a standard trend that we have seen since the inception of the draft back in 1963. Yet, somehow, this is not applied to the Montreal Canadiens, because in the last decade, they've had a grand total of, drumroll, 0. You heard that right, 0 point per game scorers, as they have entered rebuilds, drafted at the top, but at no point would they draft that point per game scorer. It's absurd, but it doesn't stop there. The last Hab to hit the point per game mark was Alexei Kovalev in 2008. So it's been 16 years. It's been 28 years since the Habs have had multiple point per game scorers. And the last time Montreal had a 100-point player was in 1986, which was Mats Naslund. As these stats would shock me if we look back at NHL history. Montreal superstars, Stanley Cups are all synonymous. Montreal has the most Stanley Cups in franchise history, alongside some of the most iconic players in NHL history, yet they haven't had a true superstar forward in nearly 40 years. But guess what? It doesn't stop here. To show you just how bizarre the Habs are as a franchise, also good bizarre, Habs fans, good bizarre. What if I were to tell you that before this past playoff run, so from 2014 up until 2023, that the Montreal Canadiens would lead all of Canada in playoff wins? And not only did they lead all of Canada, but they would nearly double every single Canadian team. And with Edmonton making it to the finals this past season, they are now tied for first with 7 round wins. And if we go back to 2008, so the start of the Subban and Price era, Montreal still leads all of Canada with 10 round wins in a 16-year span. It goes to show how good their team culture is, combined with one of the greatest goalies in NHL history.
Oh my stars! What a stop by Carey Price!
And to add another layer to this confusing track record, in the last decade, aside from this past season, their top scorers from a single season were not guys like Pacioretty or PK Subban. No, it was Thomas Tatar, Max Domi, and Tyler Toffoli. All of these players were surprising additions, who were never a part of their long-term plan. This right here, the lack of a true superstar, combined with the ability to still win playoff rounds, is what makes this team so exciting heading into the future. Because after this past draft, I think it's safe to say that the Montreal Canadiens have entered the territory of a sleeping giant. Today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh. When they reached out to sponsor a video, I was ecstatic. I've been using HelloFresh for years now. Not only have I saved so much money on ordering out from restaurants, but I have found a new passion for cooking that all started with HelloFresh. And on the menu today, we have beef taquitos. Do you think I can replicate this photo with my cooking skills? Watch and find out. HelloFresh's easy-to-follow recipes include pre-portioned ingredients delivered fresh, so no last-minute grocery run required. Just choose your delivery day, open your box, and get cooking. With the changing menu of over 100 meal combinations to choose from each week, having HelloFresh means you'll always find something the whole family will love. Recipes include produce sourced directly from Canadian farmers, picked at the peak ripeness. Going from the farm to your table in less than a week. Which means HelloFresh's menu always features the season's freshest flavors. Okay, now let's see the results. Yep, think I did pretty good, and they were delicious. Click the link down below to get up to 20 meals for free and free shipping on your first order at hellofresh.ca using code RTH20. Offers across 6 boxes for new subscribers only. That's 20 meals free at hellofresh.ca with code RTH20. This past draft, the Montreal Canadiens would select Ivan Demidov 5th overall. And aside from Macklin Celebrini, Demidov was ranked 2nd by most scouts around the league. So without Celebrini and the Russian factor, this kid was 1st overall pick quality. So for Montreal to steal this guy at pick number 5 was ludicrous, and it is honestly so ironic how the Habs passed on Michkov last draft. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe the kid only wanted to play in Philly, but it went from me seeing fans wanting Hughes fired as GM, calling him a fool for drafting Reinbacher, to fans this season calling him a genius. But what makes Demidov so unique? Well, standing in at 6'2", nearly 200 pounds, Demidov has an ability to shift plays at an instant, using his exceptional puck distribution and lethal shot. The kid is silky. And he has that rare, innate ability to build up speed while keeping the puck on a string. A reminiscent player to Demidov is another Russian and Nikita Kucherov, who like Demidov, has an incredible first touch with the puck. Demidov is the embodiment of a complete offensive threat. He can score from distance.
В зоне соперника бросок сходу и армейцы забросят.
He can score in tight.
Моменту Ивану Демидову. Ой, какой гол.
He can make ridiculous no-look passes.
Отличная передача на лазуть.
But what might be his best trait is his ability to slow down and manipulate the game. On this play,
второй период без голевым получается. Хотя количество моментов такое же, и вот гол!
Demidov collects the puck with speed at the offensive blue line. He surveys the ice, notices his teammate ahead of him, and instead of forcing the play, he waits for his teammate to cut across the defenseman to take him out of the play. He then makes a quick move to open ice, but at this point, it looks like he has one option: shoot the puck. But no, this whole time, he's just waiting for his line mate to get open back door.
Хотя количество моментов такое же, и вот гол! Как раз таки!
Where he then makes a perfect pass through 3 sticks, and they score. This entire sequence happened in about, 3-4 seconds. A player like Demidov approaches the game like he's playing chess. His ability to read and anticipate plays emphasizes his special hockey IQ. Similar players known for this are guys like McDavid, Barkov, the Sedins, as they're always thinking 2, 3, hell, even 6 steps ahead, as the Canadiens have never had a prospect with this high of a ceiling. And he has the ability, the future, to end the Habs' near 40-year drought without having that 100-point player. But here's the thing, every single Stanley Cup run, especially since the lockout, has had a very specific formula, and that the foundation of every team needs a superstar forward and a superstar defenseman. So we're talking McKinnon, Makar, Kucherov, Hedman, Jack Eichel, Alex Pietrangelo, the Canes and Keiths of the hockey world. And well, Montreal doesn't only have a Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, now Demidov. No, they have a Lane Hutson.
Hutson in close quarters at the line, beats his man ship. Return to goal! Lane Hutson the other way, left side's good company, he's got Green. Hutson holds in front of the goal! Lane Hutson delivers the Terriers in overtime!
Hutson is the prototype of the new age defenseman. Just like Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox, Hutson has shown that he can dominate his competition from the blue line due to his skating ability. Rather, I would say more so his ability to create space. On this play, instead of driving along the left side of the offensive zone, he curls back to create space. And at this point, he sees that the center is going to attack the puck, where he then uses a subtle head fake to make the center bite, uses finesse stick handling to slide by the forward, gets into open space, and
the line beats his man ships. Return to goal!
Hutson doesn't have the explosive speed of a Makar or the silky smooth skating of Hughes, but he is an elite skater, and I see him being a hybrid of an Adam Fox and Quinn Hughes. Because this hockey brain would lead to Hutson putting up, and get this, 49 points in 38 NCAA games, 34 of those points being assists. And in his first NHL game, Hutson receives a D2D pass on the blue line, where he perfectly walks the blue line, he gets past the forward, finds open space, gets off the shot, and it gets put in on the rebound.
Lane Hutson has his first NHL point.
From this play alone, you can just tell how shifty this kid truly is. And honestly, being shifty is very hard to explain. Back in my minor league hockey days, I played with several smaller kids, and I would always call them little snakes.
I'm a snake.
They're so slimy, so shifty, that the opposition never knew where they were going. And that ability, as it causes the defense to freeze, where you can then attack their awkward angles. But not only that, these players usually master the art of spinning out of checks. And I'll show you what I mean. So back to his first point. Did you catch that? I'll show it again.
It's good action off it, and this is just really smart play by the youngster.
While Hutson is walking the blue line, pause it right here, you might not even notice it, but he would shift his hips, causing JT Compher to think he was going to cut back to the middle of the ice. But no, this was just a subtle fake, enough to make Compher freeze, which single-handedly led to his first point in the NHL. If I tried that, I would fall on my face. Hell, many NHL players would probably catch an edge. This exact player type has allowed smaller players to dominate the league, also creating the ripple effect of teams needing to have those elite skating centermen. Because unless you're an elite skater, sticking on a player like glue, it is nearly impossible to defend this, unless your elite skating can lead to recoveries. So just in the prospect pipeline, Montreal has Demidov with 100-point potential, and Lane Hutson on the blue line with #1 upside. Check and check. Not only that, we haven't even talked about the immense upside on their current roster. Nick Suzuki has broken out as a #1 center. His hockey IQ has made him a dream for any winger.
Matheson shoots. Suzuki scores! It's about after Slavkovsky steals across. One-time try, score!
Cole Caulfield will be a 40-goal scorer for a long time. The kid is a pure sniper.
Caulfield qui reçoit. La fin, le tir, bloqué, et de la magie!
Yuri Slavkovsky. My goodness, Slavkovsky. I made a video last summer predicting a big season from him, which I got called out for. I had people saying I lost all credibility because I thought this kid had #1 or first line upside. And even though he did have a rough start, he would end the season playing harder hockey on a near 70-point pace. Not bad for a 6'4", 19-year-old who is still getting used to his body. Kirby Dach and Newhook have looked great when healthy. Caden Gooley or Reinbacher are both projecting as two-way top 4 defensemen with upside. This team now has high-end superstars and depth throughout the lineup. But wait, Rob, you're missing something big here. Goaltending. Well, Habs fans, you have Jacob Fowler.
Centering speed, saved by Fowler. He denied Sunya. This all for the third period after the disappointing start. One-timer saved by Fowler.
A USHL champ, Hockey East champion, World Junior gold medalist, Fowler has shown to be a goalie that shows up when you need him the most. Drafted from the USHL after winning a championship, he would play his freshman season at Boston College, where he would post a .926 save percentage. Scouts say that Fowler's an explosive, athletic goalie who has the potential to be a bona fide NHL star. And what scouts emphasize the most is the fact that this kid plays his best games in the biggest moments. In fact, Ryan Whitney, this guy, a Boston University guy, would even say that he's the best college goalie he's ever seen, and even make comparisons to Dominic Hasek. Might be a bit of a homer comparison, but you get the point. As Fowler reminds us of Carey Price, who was able to carry the load of such a historic franchise for years. Why? Both Fowler and Price have no heartbeat, which is truly invaluable when you're playing in a hockey-crazed market to like Montreal. But no, we're not done here. There is a plague right now in the NHL, the bad contract plague. Granted, the rising cap will allow teams to make good on their contract mistakes of the past, but bad contracts can still single-handedly destroy a team's depth. There has basically never been a team who would win a Stanley Cup without elite depth. Therefore, a couple bad contracts can ruin a team's chances at winning a cup. And for the case of Montreal, they do have some contract stinkers. Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson have seen a big decline in the last several years, and they combined for a cap hit of $12 million. Don't get me wrong, they are still good bottom 6 players. Therefore, it is important that Habs fans remain patient. Their path to becoming a contender is a marathon, not a sprint. So are they going to bounce back next year and make a cup run? Hell no. But those 2 contracts expire in 3 years. In 3 years, many of their players will be in their prime, on top of the addition of a guy like Demidov. But here's what I love about the cap structure of this team. Montreal would take a risk on the extensions of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, and I wouldn't even say a guy like Gooley is a risk, the guy is a stud. But if Slav can be that point per game power winger who proves invaluable in the playoffs, this team has massive upside. If they all live up to their potential, which so far it's looking good, we're talking about a cap savings of what? 8 million? So $8 million in contract savings, $12 million off the books, the top of the cap going up between 10 and 15 million in the next 3 to 4 years. All of this equates to a team who has their stars locked in on bargains, so they will have the ability to create elite depth. I keep hearing the sentiment that these young players should have to prove themselves before locking in the bag, which I get, don't get me wrong, but this risk is what it takes to win a cup in a league with so much parity. Remember when they said that Jack Hughes signing an 8x8 was insane, and it's looking to age into one of the best contracts in the league? Remember when the Flames didn't want to give Tkachuk an 8-year extension because the Flames wanted him to prove himself? Yeah. So how did that work out? If Montreal keeps playing their cards right, not only will they have great depth, but they should have the cap to go out and sign that top free agent. So to recap, the Habs have one of the best prospect pools in the league, some of the best bright young stars in every position, great management, one of my favorite coaches, on top of a dream salary cap situation. And all this, to me at least, shows that this team is a sleeping giant. And a big shout out to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Get up to 20 meals free and free shipping on your first order at hellofresh.ca using code RTH20. This offer is across 6 boxes for new subscribers only. But that's 20 meals free at hellofresh.ca with code RTH20. And sorry for the lack of videos this past month, but your boy got married. And as always, thanks for watching.